There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the comfort of ordinary days is swept away, and we find ourselves standing at the edge of something we cannot fully name. The air is heavier, the silence deeper, and in that stillness comes the awareness that we are being watched, not with condemnation, but with the fierce attention of a Father who sees what even we do not know is there. It is here, in these moments of great trial, that we face the final test from God. But what is this test, and why must we endure it? It is not because God delights in watching us flail, nor because he is unsure of what we are. It is because love, true love, cannot be satisfied with shadows or surface. He sees the divine spark beneath the dust, the strength wrapped in weakness, and the eternal spirit encased in trembling flesh. And he is determined that we should see it too. The final test is not a trap, it is an unveiling. Life, for all its beauty, is a long training ground where every joy and sorrow slowly chisels us into shape. But the test, that final, quiet reckoning, is the moment when the sculpture is revealed. It is not given to destroy, but to show. We are not being judged in that moment so much as we are being revealed to ourselves. What did we become with the time we were given? What did we choose when no one else was watching? When our prayers were met with silence, did we still believe? There is a strange mercy in the way God tests. He does not test our knowledge of doctrines, nor our ability to impress, but our willingness to trust when the lights go out. And in doing so, he is not being cruel. He is calling us higher. He is reminding us that we were never made to live by sight alone, but by the deep current of faith that runs beneath everything visible. It is also the place where masks fall. The world may have mistaken pride for strength or smooth words for wisdom, but the final test pays no attention to the opinions of crowds. It sees the soul as it truly is, bent or upright, empty or filled. And yet even in this exposure, there is no fear. For those who have walked with him, even limping, even crawling, know that he does not stand at the end with a gavel, but with open arms. The test was never about passing or failing, as the world sees it, but about revealing where our heart truly lies. We come to the final test, not as perfect saints, but as weary pilgrims, with dust on our feet and scars on our hands. And if our hearts are still pointed toward home, if we have loved, hoped, trusted, even a little, then we have already begun to pass it. Imagine, if you will, a great hall, ancient and silent, where each soul must at last appear. The walls are lined not with stone, but with memory. Every thought, every deed, every hesitation and every boldness. And in the center, not a throne of fire or thunder, but something far more terrible to the dishonest and far more comforting to the humble: truth. The final test from God is not a surprise inspection, nor a cruel twist of fate. It is not the moment he finds out what we are made of, but the moment we finally see it for ourselves. Life, in all its wildness and weariness, is the long rehearsal, and this is the curtain call. Every struggle, every doubt, every dark night when you chose faith over fear, none of it was wasted. You are not called to win every battle, only to show up for them with a heart that trusts and a will that endures. The final test is not designed to break you, but to reveal you, not to shame you, but to strip away the masks and the noise until all that remains is who you truly are before the one who made you. So we do not shrink back. We do not tremble like those who lived only for the applause of others. No, we rise, wounded perhaps, weary certainly, but with eyes lifted and souls alight. For the final test is not the end, but the beginning of the truest story ever told. There is a sacred work that happens in silence, The world may never applaud it. No crowd gathers, no trumpet sounds. But it is here, in the stillness of ordinary days, that souls are forged for the weight of the final test. The strength to stand in fire does not begin in the flame. It begins in the quiet, in the small, unnoticed yes to God whispered behind closed doors. Too often we wait for the grand moment, the heroic trial, the chance to prove ourselves before heaven and earth. But the preparation for that day does not happen on the battlefield. It happens in the unseen habits of faithfulness, in choosing humility over pride when no one else will see, in offering forgiveness when bitterness would feel more justified, in believing the promises even when they seem impossibly far. These are the quiet moments where faith is built, not the loud declarations but the daily surrender. Faith is not a thing merely to be declared. It is a path to be walked, slowly, repeatedly, sometimes trembling. And in these hours when nothing seems to change, when prayers go unanswered and the heavens feel like brass, it is then that something eternal is being woven within us. God is not distant in the silence. He is working, always. But the work is rarely what we expect. We want the mountaintop, the clarity, the certainty, but He gives us bread for the day and strength for the step. And though it seems small, it is enough, more than enough, because the quiet moments are not wasted. They are the hidden roots that will one day hold us when the storm breaks over us. You see, the final test from God is not something we cram for the night before. It is not passed by last-minute effort or desperate promises. It is passed by the slow, unseen accumulation of trust. Each choice to believe, each act of love, each moment of faithfulness in the dark is a stone laid on the path that leads to victory. The soul prepared in silence is not easily shaken, for it has learned that God does not abandon even when He seems far. It has discovered that joy can be found in obedience even when the reward is not immediate. And it has come to know deeply that the one who calls us to be ready is the same one who walks beside us as we become so. Let others chase the spotlight if they must. Let them gather followers and accolades, but we, if we are wise, will build in the quiet, for it is there that strength is born. And when the final test comes, it will not find us unprepared, for we have walked with the one who leads, and we have been made strong not by what was seen, but by what was hidden in the secret place. There comes a day in every life when the sky darkens without warning, when the familiar paths are swallowed in fog, and the voice of God seems to retreat behind thick clouds. It is not a punishment, nor is it abandonment. It is the storm, sudden, brutal, and bewildering. And in that moment, what we truly believe is no longer a matter of theory. It becomes the air we breathe or the air we choke on. The final test from God often comes wrapped in thunder. Not always in noise, but in upheaval, in the shattering of our comforts, in the loss of things we thought we could not live without. But it is not the storm that defines us, it is our response, and in the storm, God is not watching with distant eyes, indifferent to our pain. He is calling us to something greater than safety. He is calling us to trust. There is a courage that defies reason, not reckless, but rooted in something beyond this world. It is the courage that says, though I cannot trace His hand, I will still trust His heart. This is not blind optimism. It is not denial of suffering. It is the deliberate choice, again and again, to say yes to faith in the face of fear, to plant your feet not on the shifting sand of feelings, but on the solid rock of His promises. Storms will come, of this we can be sure. Health may fail, dreams may collapse, friends may walk away, even your own strength may betray you. But the one who allows the storm is the same one who walks on water. And He is not testing to see how impressive we are. He is revealing how present He has always been. The courage he asks of us is not the absence of trembling, and trust is not the feeling of security. It is the decision to obey when everything in you screams to flee. It is kneeling when you want to run. It is praising when you feel like cursing. It is holding on to his word like a lifeline, even when the winds howl that he has forgotten you. But he hasn't. Oh no, he is nearer in the storm than in the sunlight. He is shaping something eternal in you, something gold and unshakable. And when the final test comes and the waves rise high, you will not be alone. You may be afraid, but you will not be forsaken. For the storm is not your enemy, it is your proving ground. And courage and trust are not things we muster, they are gifts we receive as we cling to him. So lift your head, even in the rain. Lift your voice, even in the weeping. The one who calms storms with a word is also the one who uses them to prepare you for the... We live much of our lives unaware of what lies within us, not out of ignorance, but because the daily rhythms of life rarely demand we look that deep. We settle into roles, titles, routines. We become what others expect, until one day the ground shifts. The final test approaches, and suddenly all the borrowed strength, all the rehearsed responses, all the surface confidence begins to fall away. What is left is not a costume but a soul, and the question echoes, who are you really? God does not send the test to shame us, he sends it to awaken us. Beneath the surface there is a strength he planted long before we knew we would need it. A strength shaped in the quiet, deepened in the waiting, and purified in the struggle. But we do not see it until we are pressed. Like a hidden spring beneath a desert floor, it breaks forth only when the weight becomes unbearable. And in that breaking, something sacred is revealed. We are so quick to define ourselves by our failures or our fears. We carry labels handed to us by others, or worse, by the accuser who whispers in our weakest moments. But God sees past all that. He sees the warrior beneath the wounds. He sees the child who still believes, though bruised by battle. And he is not asking you to become something new in the test. He is calling you to become what you already are in him. The final test from God is not just a challenge, it is a mirror. Not a harsh one, but a holy one. It shows us the image he has been shaping in us all along, though the world could not see it, and we ourselves could hardly believe it. In the fire, our masks melt away, and what remains is something eternal, the strength of the Spirit, the endurance of the saints, the unshakable core of one who has been with God in the valley and come through not unscathed, but unbroken. You will not discover this strength through comfort. It will not be found in applause or ease. It rises only when there is no one left to lean on but God, and no one left to believe in but the one he is calling you to be. And when that moment comes, when the final test pushes you to the edge, you may tremble, but you will not fall. For within you is something stronger than fear, deeper than pain, more resilient than despair. It is his image, his breath, his life alive in you. You are not made for the shallow waters. You are crafted for the depths, and in the depths you will find not only God, but your truest self. The one who was born to stand in fire, not consumed but refined. And when all is stripped away, you will know, perhaps for the first time, who you really are. There comes a moment after the struggle, though not always immediately, when the dust settles and the silence returns. But this time, not with fear, but with glory. The test is behind you, the storm has passed, and something in you, though weary and weathered, stands tall. You have not merely survived, you have triumphed. Not as the world defines it, but in the only way that truly matters. You remained faithful. You kept walking, you clung to hope, and in doing so, you reached something beyond the trial, a radiance that suffering cannot extinguish. The final test from God is never the end of the story. It is the doorway into a new one. For those who endure, not perfectly but honestly and with trust, there awaits a joy that the world cannot mimic and cannot steal. This is the paradox of God's kingdom. The crown is often hidden in the cross, and the path to resurrection always leads through death. Death to self, to fear, to everything false we once clung to. But the triumph is real. It is not found in applause or vindication, but in transformation. You are not the same. And this is no small thing. Trials may leave scars, yes, but they also leave strength. And that strength is not yours alone. It becomes a testimony, a beacon to others wandering in the dark, whispering that they too can make it, that God is not cruel, that suffering is not meaningless, that the fire, though fierce, refines more than it destroys. In this triumph, pride has no place, only gratitude, for you did not make it through by might but by mercy. The one who tested you was also the one who sustained you, and in his hands even your weakest moments became stepping stones toward glory. He wastes nothing, not the tears, not the doubts, not even the failures. All are gathered and woven into a tapestry whose beauty is only truly seen from the other side of the trial. This is why the final test, though fierce, is not to be feared. It is a holy invitation, a summons to rise, not in your own strength, but in the strength of the one who has walked every valley before you and who meets you at the end with joy in his eyes. You were not meant to live merely for comfort. You were meant for greatness, not the kind that fills headlines, but the kind that shakes eternity. So let the fire come if it must. Let the shadows stretch long, for there is a glory beyond this moment, and it is not distant. It is already being born within you, and one day, when the test is done, you will stand not just as one who endured, but as one who overcame. Not because you were fearless, but because you were faithful. And now, as the dust of trial settles and the silence of truth descends, remember this: you were never alone, not in the quiet, not in the storm, not in the breaking. The final test from God is not to expose your weakness, but to awaken your strength, to uncover the gold He placed within you before the beginning of time. You have not been forgotten. You have been forged. Every challenge, every trial, and every moment of uncertainty has been part of a divine process, shaping you, strengthening you, refining you. In the fire, your faith has been tested, and through that test, you are made pure. The struggles you faced were not meant to break you, but to prepare you for something greater, something that lies just beyond the horizon of this test. So rise, soul of fire and faith, not as one defeated, but as one revealed. For in every moment of testing, you have been unveiled for who you truly are, strong, resilient, and radiant with the love and grace of God. This is not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter, one where you walk in the full knowledge of your strength and purpose. The test was never meant to define you. It was meant to reveal the fullness of who you were always meant to become. Glory waits just beyond it, and it is yours to claim. The doors that seemed locked are now open. The path that seemed impossible is now clear. The final test is not your end. It is your unveiling, and you are ready to step into the greatness that God has prepared for you.